So, let's talk about the biggest story ever told. And I don't mean human history. I mean the history of, well, everything. We're going to dive into the origin of the entire universe, which also means we're talking about the origin of you. How in the world did we piece this incredible story together? Let's find out.
Just stop and think about this for a second. Everything you can see, and everything you can't. Every star, every galaxy, every single atom in your body, all of it, was once crammed into a single point. A point smaller than you can possibly imagine, hotter and denser than you can possibly imagine. And then, something happened.
To even begin to understand what happened at the start, we first have to look at the sky as it is right now. You see, the very first clue in this whole cosmic detective story wasn't about a beginning at all. It was about movement.
For most of history, really, the general idea was that the universe was this grand, unchanging, static thing. You know, it had always been here, it would always be here, and it looked pretty much the same all the time. A perfect, predictable cosmic clockwork. But that nice, neat, comforting idea was about to get blown completely out of the water.
This new understanding didn't happen overnight. It was built piece by piece by these brilliant minds, one discovery leading right to the next. It started in 1912 when Vesto Slipher noticed something really weird about faraway galaxies. Then, in the 20s, Edwin Hubble didn't just confirm it, he turned it into a scientific law. And that work paved the way for a physicist who was also a priest, Georges Lemaitre, to suggest something truly mind-bending.
The key to all of this was something called redshift. Think about an ambulance siren. As it races away from you, the sound pitch gets lower, right? Well, light does something kind of similar. When a galaxy is moving away from us, the light waves it emits get stretched out, and that shifts them toward the red end of the spectrum. And what Hubble found was not only are almost all galaxies redshifted, meaning they're moving away from us, but the farther away they are, the faster they're speeding away.
I mean, there was just no other way to look at it. The evidence all pointed to one absolutely staggering conclusion. The universe is not static. Not at all. It is expanding. Every galaxy is rushing away from every other galaxy. This idea completely turns centuries of science on its head.
So, okay, this discovery of an expanding universe is obviously huge, and it immediately makes you ask a really profound question. If everything is moving apart now, what happens if we run the clock backward?
It's just the next logical step, isn't it? If you hit rewind on an expansion, everything has to get closer and closer together. And if you go back far enough, everything, all the matter, all the energy, space itself, it must have all started from the exact same place.
And this is where Georges Lemaitre comes back into the picture. He was the one who made that amazing logical leap. He put forward the idea that the entire universe must have burst forth from what he called a primeval atom, a single, ancient point containing everything. He is, without a doubt, the father of what we now call the Big Bang Theory.
And get this? Based on the speed of that expansion we see today, astronomers have actually been able to calculate when that beginning happened. Our best, most precise measurements tell us that the age of our universe is about 13.8 billion years.
Now, this was a fantastic theory, but for a long time, that's all it was, a theory. You need evidence. You need the smoking gun. Then, in the 1960s, scientists found it, a faint, ancient echo from the birth of the universe that we can still detect right now, today.
Oh, the story of how they found it is just the best. You've got these two radio astronomers, Arno Penzias and Robert Wilson, and they're trying to use this big antenna, but there's this persistent, annoying hiss in the background they just can't get rid of. They tried everything. They even cleaned out pigeon droppings from the antenna, but the noise was still there. And it was coming from every single direction in the sky, all day, all night. What they had stumbled on, completely by accident, was the cosmic microwave background. This is literally the oldest light in the universe. See, right at the beginning, the universe was this super hot, dense soup of particles, and light couldn't travel through it. But after about 380,000 years, it cooled down just enough for atoms to form, and light was finally set free to travel across the cosmos. And that ancient light, now cooled and stretched by expansion into microwaves, is the CMB. It's the actual afterglow of creation.
So we've got a beginning. We've got the afterglow. We're getting somewhere. But that name, the Big Bang, it creates the single biggest misconception about the whole theory. So it's time we set the record straight on this one.
Okay, this is the most important part to get your head around. The Big Bang was not an explosion in space. It wasn't like a bomb going off in some big empty room. It was the expansion of space itself. It was the beginning of space and time, everywhere, all at once.
The absolute best way to visualize this is the classic balloon analogy. Imagine you've got a balloon with a bunch of dots drawn on it. Those dots are galaxies. Now, as you inflate the balloon, the rubber itself, which represents space, stretches. From the point of view of any one dot, all the other dots are moving away from it. And most importantly, there's no center of the explosion on the surface of the balloon. The expansion is happening everywhere. That's our universe.
Now, I know all of this sounds unbelievably vast, maybe a little abstract, but the story of the Big Bang isn't just some distant academic theory. It is, and I mean this, the most personal story you will ever hear.
Seriously, think about it. The simple elements, like the hydrogen in the water that makes up most of your body, and the heavier elements that were forged inside stars that died long ago, all of it traces its origin back to the conditions created in that very first moment. You aren't just living in the universe, you are the universe in a way, experiencing itself.
But the story is far from over. In fact, answering the big question of where we came from has just opened up even deeper, weirder mysteries. We now know that all the stars and galaxies we can see make up only about 5% of everything that's out there. The rest is made of this invisible stuff called dark matter, which holds galaxies together, and this even more mysterious force called dark energy that's making the universe expand faster and faster. Some theories even suggest our universe is just one of countless others in a giant multiverse.
And so that's where we stand. We have traced our story all the way back 13.8 billion years to a single point. We know the universe had a beginning. But now, looking to the future, with space expanding at an ever-increasing rate, we have to ask a new question. Does it have an end? And what would that even mean? The search for that answer, well, that's the next great chapter in our quest to understand it all.